Hello and welcome to all the Rangers out there. I just have to do one quick thing. I want to check to make sure that the audio is working because we've had minor audio problems in the past. So, hope you don't mind the test. So, hope you don't mind. Oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay. So, hope everyone's well today on this Sunday. We're going to just jump on in. This stream's going to be a little shorter, and we are probably gonna make it a well. It's just going to be shorter, also because there's not as much. Like, you can't really go episode by episode. Now, if you did go episode by episode for Vulcan Skull, the stream would last days. It'd be like some of those Twitch streams. Because there are Twitch streams where I've seen that, like, people comment on how it lasts for days, and I can't fathom that. So,
and then there's the need to filter through all of the comedy routines and the character progression, hobbies, and whatnot.
Yeah, Vulcan Skull have a lot of hobbies like the original Rangers do. They're great characters, but there's one. The thing with the comedy was, it was quite good if slapsticky. At times, I'm not going to lie, I find I am annoyed by it because I want more characterization of the Rangers. On the other hand, there are times when, you know what? You want more of the slapstick stuff because sometimes you just want to laugh.
That's what sometimes you need to break the ice. And these two are the perfect buffoons for the job.
Yeah. That said, I'm also wanting to discuss them very briefly regarding season 3 and Zeo, but we'll get to that in a minute. And how they could have been used to an extent, as well as I remember one decent episode with them, I think in Turbo, where TJ goes above and beyond for them because he knows they're good people. I think that's what happened at one point in Turbo. It's been like 25 years or 20 years or something since I saw the episode. But anyways, at the beginning of this series, Vulcan Skull are misfits. Wow, that was without saying.
With the way they dressed?
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, that they want to be men, but they don't know how to be. They're buffoons, but they're also creeps and jerks. And I say that with a considerable amount of scorn for some of their behavior. Now, they think that as to be men, one has to dominate the entire room. And here, I'll just do this. Once again, I screwed up with the camera. All right. There we go. They think that as men, they have to dominate the room and everyone in it. And the problem with this is that this is blatantly false. This is not how men behave. Now, how to dominate a room is to be confident and decent. One should aspire to be like King Arthur, not Mordred, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a difference between machismo and false machismo.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Vulcan Skull don't know the difference. And knowing the difference is half the battle. Not at all. G.I. Joe. I'm kidding. But I always mock that. But the thing with these two is that when we're first introduced to them, they try to harass Trini and Kimberly in a certain way. I can't actually say how because YouTube, sorry people, we're always trying to figure out what we're allowed to say and what we're not. And we're not always sure here. But so we tread very lightly here with YouTube. If you want videos of ours where we don't have to tread lightly, you can check us out on Storyfire. You could Google it. It's quite good. we have a lot of Narnia and a lot of Star Wars content over there. So if you like that stuff as well, you should probably like that. Every once in a while I want to plug the Storyfire stuff because
there's some good stuff there.
Yeah, and you know what? It's good to have another platform. But anyways, I'm thinking of actually at some point taking some of our live streams in and moving them over there as well. They'll still be here, don't worry. I'm just wanting them on both platforms. Because over there we don't have to worry about multiple channels. We only need the one. Because the algorithm over there is fair.
One-stop shop.
Yeah. But anyways, when it comes to Bulk and Skull, they harass Kim and Trini, trying to force kisses upon them, and are embarrassed because Kim and Trini are well-trained martial artists. But the problem is that the two keep on pushing it. Not always with Trini throughout the series, but they always push Kim too far. And you can tell in some episodes from how she cringes back from them, just how much this is emotionally harming her in a way. And I find it funny because this was before. Now, the thing is, like, you had writers who were writing about the topic of harassing people in that certain way. And, you know, like you had Michael Crichton, for example, wrote a great story about it and on the nature of it towards both men and women equally. And he presented a lot of statistical data, a lot of scientific data and whatnot. And Power Rangers kind of took it over the top. And yet it never, like, they gave Bulk and Skull a redemption arc. And the thing is, they showed that emotionally it was frustrating for Kim. At the same time that you had, for example, Zach was fairly insistent on his affections with Angela. So with Zach, I found you could look at him and see how a man can be insistent, but not harass a lady. And you had Bulk and Skull who were misbehaving. And so you could look at Bulk and Skull and say, this is not how you comport yourself. While you can look at Zach and say, this is how a man should comport himself. Or even Billy. Or, although Billy had too many girlfriends, so maybe that might not be the best advice.
It's like comparing Ted Mosby and Barney Stinson.
Okay, but I actually really love Barney.
I know, I did too, but it's a bit like his approach to a woman.
Yeah. And the thing with Bulk and Skull is that I kind of had the impression they might have been neglected or something, or that they just didn't understand when enough was enough. And in that, in a way, the person they bullied the most was Kimberly. Although, arguably, the character who suffered the most to them was Billy. And how you can end up, like, okay, the way they treated Billy was worse than how they treated Kim. Now, Kim, they're harassing her in a very particular way. I won't think that's the worst you could do to a person. But with Billy, they were just outright crushing him and his self-confidence and his ego at every turn. And at the beginning, you can see that Billy is utterly, like, he's got a great IQ. People want to like him. Like Jason, Zach, Kim, Trini, they want him to feel welcome. He's really the ultimate outsider in the group in a way. And yet, he has no will to try to get to know people. He's just, I find, really quite a lonely character. And his IQ set him apart. But it's more than that. It's that Bulk and Skull are outright pushing him away from people. And what they're doing, it is the very definition of cruelty. And in a way, their treatment of him was all I found was kind of worse than what Rita was doing to any of the Rangers, save Kimberly. Because the way Rita went after Kim, I know we joke about it having shades of the Wicked Stepmother or the Wicked Witch in classic folklore, but in all seriousness, what Rita does would be pretty well. It is cruel towards a young girl.
It's Mean Girls attitude.
Yeah. But that said, Billy, what I find really interesting is that the Billy Bulk and Skull relationship really changes over the course of this series in the first 2 seasons. Now, at the beginning, Bulk and Skull are not liked by the Rangers. Jason at one point takes the opportunity when the two are minding their own business to bully them at the encouragement of Jeremy, his cousin. Kim despises them, and in a few scenes looks like she wants to break down crying. And she could fight them off, but they find other ways to fight and grind her down. And for example, Skull flirting with her when she's trying to gain the attention of Tommy or something. And thing like the way this scene plays out, you do feel bad for her because she's made to look and feel 2 inches tall and hideous in front of the boy she likes, which, let's be honest, anyone who loves chivalry will say that's wrong. No, you don't do that. And to put it bluntly, it's what separate, like, you look at, I'll say this. There was something I once heard, and it was from our grandmother. She's no longer with us, but she said, chivalry is what separates the boys from the men. Or in French, la chevalerie, c'est pas les gars et les petits garçons des hommes. And you know her husband was very chivalrous. Despite his own timid nature, he was tough. He was rather like Tommy.
Mm-hmm. Hence why sometimes I comment, if I'm not abiding by chivalry, my grandmother's going to come and haunt me.
Oh yeah, she would. But that's the thing. Bulk and Skull, in the first bit, don't behave very well. That said, they also bully Tommy a little, or try. Tommy tries to put up a tough exterior with them, and they really go after him. But like I said, the one they go after the most is Billy, more than even Kim. Though Skull evidently has a bit of a crush on her, but it's in a bit of a creepy stalker way at the start. Now, in season 2, things begin to change. And the biggest change for the Stone Canyon Trio, I would argue, is with 2 major developments. One is towards the end of season 1 to an extent, when Billy is gaining in more confidence. Billy is gaining in confidence, and he's no longer a convenient punching bag. You can't really knock him when he's down, and he's not going to let himself fall down. He's just standing up firmly for himself and saying, no, you can't treat me this way. And so it's no longer easy. So they can't really beat him up. And he's in great shape. And he's a great martial artist. So you can't really touch him. Okay, so they can't go after Billy. Kim is dating Tommy, and evidently she's a lot more confident, and Tommy's not going to tolerate them making comments and whatnot to his girlfriend because, well, as we said, he has chivalry. Therefore, he's a bit more of a man than them. And so they can't harass Kim because, she's found someone and she's willing to stand up for herself. Before, she did have a timid side, let's be honest. But by the end of the first season, she's, after the Green Candle, begun seeing Tommy. So she's got the strength and because she's got the arm candy to give her confidence, you can't really go after her. Now, this is where the Stone Canyon Trio are one of the best things that happened to the series. Now, when the Stone Canyon Trio come in, Jason and Trini still don't have much patience for Bulk and Skull. Zach still considers them a joke. Yeah, I guess to him they are. It's hard not to think of them as such at that time. But I would argue it's when the Stone Canyon Trio come in that Bulk and Skull get, oh my gosh, they got such a great arc. I really grew to love them at that point. And we start to see from Ninja Encounters up to the movie a transition for Bulk and Skull. They go from semi-antagonists, well, they are antagonists, to members of the crew and best friends of the superheroes. They go from, let me see. Well, I'm trying to think of a good example. They kind of go from a Mercy Graves or even a Vicky Vale character who are antagonists to an extent to a Jimmy Olsen and Perry White type of position within the mythology. So this transition is really fascinating to see. And it's really interesting how Aisha comes along and Bulk evidently develops a quick crush on her. But in turn, Aisha kind of seems to take the two in as, well, she's a mama bear with everyone. So they're her baby cubs, and she's keen to help them out. And you could tell, like, she's coming in with a blank slate when Bulk goes to offer to help her with her locker. And she's very pleased and even amused and almost even charmed a little at Bulk's attempt to impress her. And in turn, although I did get the impression of the Aisha Rocky thing by the movie, it didn't stop her from being friendly in a way towards Bulk and Skull that was honestly kind of beautiful to see. Like, you got the impression that she was trying to encourage them and guide them in a way, almost like a mother, towards the right path. In that regard, Aisha, though arguably a more female warrior archetype, in my opinion, she takes on spades of the mother archetype of sorts from the tripartite goddess kind of icon. That is to say, typically mother, daughter, lover, or mother, daughter, warrior. Aisha takes on aspects of the mother in how she treats Bulk and Skull. And even Skull a few times seems like he was kind of, at least in my opinion, kind of seemed a little into her. And it seemed like both of them were wanting to please her. They didn't want to harass her in the same way they did Trini. So you almost get the impression that Bulk and Skull want at least one person who doesn't think of them as imbeciles or bullies. They want one friend to see them see past that. And honestly, it was nice, like seeing that in season 2. It showed character development. But on Aisha's end, when they brought in like the psychic or fortune teller or whatever, she looked genuinely horrified and as though they had disappointed her and shocked her. It's one of the best scenes in the entire franchise. And it's so hilarious. It's probably my favorite Bulk and Skull moment. Although it's also a great Rocky moment because Rocky's just a total sadist. More evil than Luca Blight from Conan 2 there. You could tell he's Italian, but I joke there. But in all seriousness, you have Aisha who sees them as kind of her own cubs that she has to protect, and she's very attached to them. But as she's gaining more, as she starts off with a great deal of fondness for them, it seems like her affection for them spreads to the likes of Billy, Tommy, and even Kim. Now, where there's a ranger who has difficulty with them, it's Adam. Now, they do still kind of bully Adam. The difference between, say, Adam and Billy is that by this time, Billy has gained confidence. He's a toughened warrior. And he's not going to let anyone knock him down or push him down a flight of stairs or whatever. Adam doesn't yet have that confidence, despite being a powerhouse of a fighter. So they can bully him because he won't fight back. And I think you once said that, in a way, Adam needs this to learn to toughen up a little because he could take them. He should be able to stand up to them, but he's letting them walk all over him. So he needs to learn not to let them do that.
I know,
And that's more on Adam. I think you once said that.
because I know some would say that any kind of bullying is wrong.
It is.
It is. However, sometimes someone needs to be able to stand their ground and establish their own boundaries. And Adam is letting them walk all over him.
Yeah, but
And he needs to learn how to confront them and say no.
I guess I'm not sure. I do agree, but I also don't. But I get where you're coming from. So, yeah, fair enough. I think that when it comes to, so you see, guys, this and gals, this is the kind of conversation we want to have, a nuanced thing where we can disagree. Too bad you can't really have this on like Twitter or something. Oh, I was supposed to stream also to Twitter. You know what? Let me see. Is there a way to make it so that we are streaming there also midstream? Let's check it out. Okay. Oh, okay. So I think we've now set it up so that we're on Twitter and on Power Rangers. Okay, there. Sorry for those on Twitter who are just seeing us. We were originally doing it on our Power Ranger Corner channel, so we're not familiar with how to stream to multiple locations quite yet. Next stream will be a bit more accustomed to it. But yeah, I think that the interesting thing with the most interesting bond after Aisha with Bulk and Skull would be Rocky. Rocky is quite a bit different from Adam. Where Adam, Bulk and Skull walk all over him, and you're just left going, dude, stand up. You could set your boundaries. You out to be more confident. You can take this, but you don't want to take them, so to speak.
You know how to stand up to major alien monsters, but to these.
Yeah. That said, Rocky, from the word go, extends what seems to be a loving hand of brotherhood. You see from almost the very beginning, Rocky, like from the minute the duo try to help Aisha with her locker, after that, Rocky seems to really take to them. And you have episodes where Rocky, like Bulk and Skull, make comments about Rocky. Rocky takes it in good grace, but at the same time, he doesn't quarrel with them quite like Jason does. Jason never got along with Bulk and Skull. Let's be honest. He despised them, and let's be honest, they treated him like garbage. I'm not going to blame Jason here when they treated him like garbage and they tried to bully him. It wasn't one of their wiser ideas. And they tried to mock him and humiliate him. With Rocky, what seems to happen is that Rocky laughs. They talk about humiliating him or something. He laughs. They try to do it. He laughs harder. Then they embarrass themselves. He laughs even harder than before and helps them out, and then laughs even harder. But the difference is that Rocky is more Zach than Zach, arguably. And the reason I say that is that where Zach did have boundaries, he was willing to be very friendly, and he was very friendly to Bulk and Skull. It was Bulk and Skull who were not ready to accept his friendship. It's why we all love Zach. He was genial, and he was the perfect gentleman. He was a bit, I really like Zach as a character. But Rocky went further with trying to be brotherly to them and affectionate and be every positive Italian stereotype with them. I'm joking. But
Rocky has a very disarming attitude.
yeah, I think it's what made him in a few episodes in season 2, when, for example, Aisha was getting drunk on power in the fire safety episode. It's what made him such a perfect leader at one point. I think in that episode, he takes command of when Tommy's not around of a group. No, wait, it was another episode. I think it was the following episode where I know he at one point took command of between himself, Aisha, and Adam. And then there's also the episode where, okay, I think the episode I'm mainly thinking about is where Tommy and Kim are fighting. And it seems like Rocky takes command. There's a few episodes where he takes command, and he does a really good job of it. The thing about Rocky is that he's not the hothead, impulsive Red Ranger that Leo Corbett is, or even, I would argue, Carter Grayson is. Carter was very hot-headed. I love Carter.
Essentially, firing the
weapons point blank. Yeah.
point blank.
Even Jason was hot-headed and hot-tempered. Rocky's of a different sort. He combines that Red Ranger passion with a level-headed, rational, almost Billy level of level-headedness. And these qualities make Rocky a really great leader in Red Ranger. But his ability to disarm people with just a grin and a laugh, I think, is what wins over Bulk and Skull. And, like, for example, in the episode where they bring in the psychic, they make a complete fool of themselves. You have Aisha, I don't want to see this. I think she says something to that effect. And you have Rocky going, I gotta see this, or something like that. It was just such a funny line. Now, what then happens is that Billy seems a little hesitant and unsure of what to do. But as Rocky laughs, Billy starts to grin and relax. And after she's shown to be a fake, Rocky teases them a little more, and they just do that to, like, Bulk and Skull. You remember they do that to him, and he kind of just, he's like, yeah. He keeps laughing,
and sometimes he'll play along.
Yeah, but the thing is, they can never walk all over him. But he makes it clear he considers them friends, and he does love them in a very fraternal manner. He kind of welcomes them into the crew, and arguably, he almost does more to redeem them in some ways than Aisha. And if you look at the dynamics of things, although I think that Bulk and Skull were kind of crushing on Aisha in season 2, the thing about it is that I don't think they could bring themselves to despise Rocky if he was with her. It's a weird kind of relationship. They genuinely seemed very fond of both Rangers. And it's just such a fascinating and nuanced relationship, so that, sorry, just noticed my glasses are a little filthy. I just cleaned them. Anyways, yeah, Bulk and Skull, with the Stone Canyon Trio, like I said, you have two of them who are a blank slate. So you have two blank slates so they can start over. That said, around that time, Kim was standing up more for herself and was making it clear that she wants, to at least be friends. Tommy was weird because he never really wanted to quarrel with them. He only quarreled with them where Kim was concerned, from what I understand it, and occasionally to defend his other friends. But generally, he made it clear that they would have to make the first move for friendship. But with Aisha and Rocky making it, like, going quite far to gain the friendship and affection of Bulk and Skull, I got the feeling they kind of welcomed. They were the ones who brought Bulk and Skull into the, I don't want to say clique, but the circle of friends that the Rangers are. And you have in turn, Billy, I think by then was willing to accept them as friends. And because when the minute Rocky and Aisha accepted them, I got the impression Billy was ready to accept them. Kim, I think, would probably be the most hesitant because
Previous history, she has good reasons to.
But you can tell from the beginning of the movie that she's come to appreciate them and treat them like kid brothers or something. On the other hand, in my opinion, they're almost more Aisha and Rocky's friends than anyone else's, and even Billy's. But Kim's come to accept them. She can joke with them and say, "See you on the flip side," and whatnot, and just treat them like kid brothers. In turn, Tommy treats them really well and laughs along. You know, like when they say, when the two are bragging about how they were the ones who defeated Ivan Ooze, he just laughs about it. He's like, let them. And he even seems amused and as though he thinks it's a funny and good thing that they're bragging like that.
Because in many ways, the way they helped save the parents,
they did save the day.
They have bragging rights because Power Rangers destroyed the big purple monster.
But the ones who saved the people in the city,
they made sure that the Power Rangers had a home worth coming back to.
So yeah, Bulk and Skull are partially the heroes of the tale, and you can tell we are very fond of Bulk and Skull. Now, where season 3 is a problem, in my opinion, is that it retcons out this development in order to start the story over again between the two. But season 3 is just a mess that retcons out so much character development for a lot of characters, from Kimberly, Bulk and Skull, even Tommy a little.
Lord
Zed. Like, let's not even get into how it treats him. But there are some positive. Master Vile's pretty good as a villain. I liked him. I like Rito Revolto. I like Goldar in season 3. Now, in Power Rangers Zeo, I only have one problem with one episode with Bulk and Skull. I believe they kind of go after Rocky when he's feeling insecure. He's one episode where he's unsure of himself. I only have a problem with that because Bulk and Skull previously looked up to Rocky and really liked him. And I find that's a retcon, and that's not good. That's where I'll criticize that episode of Zeo. No, I love that episode. It's one of my favorites. But I think that it was a mistake to portray Bulk and Skull in that manner.
There was a way to pull it off to still make them look comedic, where they try very hard over the top to try and cheer up Rocky.
But only depress him further and inadvertently basically do I guess, like where they inadvertently compare him to Jason. And that just makes it worse. And, you can make it work. You just have to be creative. Unfortunately, according to some of the actors, some of them were running out of ideas. Not all. But where Bulk and Skull... but that said, you look at some of the ideas in the movie and some of the ideas later in Zeo, and you look at like the idea of the Psycho Rangers, and you look at the next few seasons, there was still some oil in the end or fuel in the engine. They still had a lot of creativity left in them. My gosh, some of the next seasons were some of the best stuff that came out.
What are your thoughts on the one police officer that keeps on trying to make them good police officers?
Well, he struck me as kind of despising them and wanting to get rid of them half the time.
Yeah, although I know that partway through Turbo, he did mellow out, and
he became a bit of a comedic third wheel to them.
Yeah, where eventually he wanted them to become the best they could be.
Yeah. I like that they inherit Ernie's juice bar and that they know who the Power Rangers are by Forever Red. That was a natural character development on their part. I kind of feel that where they should have taken the characters in season 3 was to have them become aware of the Power Ranger identity and to try, if in a bungling manner, to help cover the identities, only for them to nearly expose it by accident. And for them to, where we see that they do have a heart of gold. And I think that Now, if anyone says they would want to expose the Power Rangers, for a time they did, but if they knew it was Aisha and Rocky and Billy, I think they'd see it, and even Kim by then, and even Tommy, whom they did grow fond of. I think they'd see it as, no, we're not on board with that. The only one they might kind of have a bit of dislike towards at first is Adam, but I think they grew fond of even him to an extent. And so, yeah, this duo, they went from really, really dumb bullies to an extent, just to be honest, to great friends of the Rangers by the start of the movie. Now, the only reason I'm specifying that is that the idea is that these streams are to lay down the groundwork and the idea of where the characters are at the start of the 95 movie. And then from there, we'll trace their growth up to the Turbo movie. And then from there to through the next few seasons and whatnot. So that means we do have to do character streams of every character. In some cases, 2 or 3 streams for each character. Like, obviously, Jason's going to need another one as the Gold Ranger. Tommy's going to need a bunch. Kim's probably going to need another one. Kat,
Billy.
Yeah, well, Kat might only need one because, Billy, so much unfulfilled potential. There were so many great ideas that could have been used with him. After the movie, there was so much they could have done. But anyways, you've got, obviously, for example, by the time we get to Lost Galaxies and Lightspeed Rescue, each of those Rangers will need it. Will need a stream of their own, as will the villains. I can't wait to do a stream on Drakina.
Oh, yeah.
I'd almost argue one should almost do 2. She's such a great character and divided into the beginning of the series. And then her after the fusion with Divatox. Not Divatox, but Deviot. Yeah, she was nuts.
Yeah.
And then you've got, of course, now that I think about it, we'll probably have to do a stream also on, after we're done with Kim, I should schedule another one for Dulcia. She's going to need one, and one for Ivan Ooze if I haven't scheduled one already. So those are 2 other streams I'm going to try to add in the next day or 2. It's because I want to round out all the major characters of the movie, as well as the one kid, because he did play a major role.
Yeah. To kind of bring it back to Bulk and Skull, I'm going to take my armchair psychologist seat.
Okay.
I can't help but think that in their background, there's possibly one of 3 possibilities. One,
they're not being beaten. We know that because we see their parents in this story.
Exactly. So that takes down one. Another is they're following the lead of a toxic role model.
Okay.
About how to treat women.
Mm-hmm. And the third?
And the third, you also countered. So neglect and missing parent.
Well, it could be that there's a disconnect between them and their parents.
That's fair.
Sometimes a disconnect happens and it's not really the parents' fault.
And
it just happens.
And so trying to search for to fit in.
Yeah.
Eventually they learn how to approach women thanks to Aisha. They learn that bullying isn't right from Rocky.
Mm-hmm. And they learn to apply themselves a lot more from Billy and Tommy.
Mm-hmm. When they go to Billy for tutoring.
And yeah, they probably got some because they do graduate from school around the same time as the Rangers. And they, from what I remember, and they also, well, they just seem to get smarter eventually.
Smarter, more responsible.
Yeah, and they probably also learned to be kinder to an extent also from I would argue, Kim, because all their mistakes with how to deal with someone they made with Kim and Billy and even Adam, and they learned from them. And they got a second chance with Kim and Billy and even Tommy, and they were given those second chances. And they genuinely tried to earn them. What I love is just how the humor changes with Bulk and Skull. At the beginning of the first season, you want them laid low because they're bullies. But by the beginning of the first movie, they are not bullies anymore. And the humor is not about seeing bullies laid low, but just two bungling guys who are slapstick. But at the same time, there's a sense of warmth towards them. Like, oh, they messed up. Well, better go get them and, go prep up a cake to celebrate with them because the poor guys are going to need cheering up. And it's more like a good-natured ribbing rather than, oh, let's humiliate the bully. It's good-natured ribbing in contrast to,
So we've got a subtle background coming of age with these two.
Yeah.
Where an aspect of it was maturity.
Yeah, they just needed to...
They were following the wrong lead somewhere, and then they learned to that it wasn't the right way to do things.
Yep.
They were considered outcasts. The teachers didn't like them.
Well, the teachers were trying to reason with them, and they couldn't quite reach them. And they realized they were bullies. But eventually, the two of them, like the fire safety episode, when Aisha appoints them as her flunkies, so to speak, I think Mrs. Appleby is a little nervous. But on the other hand, even I think that she's probably pleased that, someone's taking them in hand and taking them under their wing. And so you get, the teachers starting to relax a little over these two, because these two are probably a source of concern. Well, they're bullies. And who knows what silly, weird stunt they're going to pull out of their hat next.
And yeah, a couple of times they go on a power trip, like when they were working with that one cop, where the cop's like, I don't want these two. And these two are like, oh, we want to be cops. We're inspired by both the Rangers and you.
Oh, yeah.
So but I'd also... They think this cop is a good role model.
When he's a buffoon, too. What I like is that you also have the fire safety episode, like I said. They went on a full... Okay, they're already redeemed by then, but they're on a power trip alongside Aisha, and the three of them are just feeding into an endless loop of just terrible behavior. It is hilarious. On the other hand, you never get the sense that Bulk and Skull are quite as far gone as Aisha to an extent. It's Aisha that you can understand why Tommy and Billy are getting really, really fed up with her. That said, Aisha owns what she does, atones for it, and tries to clean herself up. And like I said, arguably in that episode, she's worse than Bulk and Skull, and Bulk and Skull are a lot more harmless. So, yeah, we've covered the beginning, middle, and end of Bulk and Skull. And yeah, the character's got a lot of development.
And it's a lot more subtle. It's background stuff, because these two are the Abbott and Costello, where they have constant train wrecks.
Yeah, though as we said, it was mostly thanks to Aisha and Rocky going out of their way to hang out with them, or at least make them feel special, like what Aisha does, or just generally laugh alongside them and just treat them like family, like what Rocky does. Billy eventually sets his boundaries and is very clear about how he's willing to be friends with them, but they have to back off. And they do.
And sometimes
Tommy has the same kind of relationship with them. Here are my boundaries. I'm willing to be friends, but no bullying, and stop harassing Kim. They respect that by the beginning of the movie. By then, by the end of the second season, they are best friends with the Rangers. And you have Kim, who by then is unthawed towards, well, who could blame her for not wanting to hang out with them before then. But by then, she sort of mellowed out with them, and she's willing to extend the olive branch, which she gets a lot of kudos for that. She's showing, like, they mistreated her all worse than anyone else except Billy. So her and Billy being willing to be good friends with them, that's incredible. That's a beautiful story right there. And that shows that deep down, Billy and Kim do have the inner goodness of a Trini. And as to Adam, poor Adam, he just ended up, that was the, arguably with Adam, it's the last dying gasp of the old Bulk and Skull. And back when they were bullies. But it's really, like, you think that it's kind of Adam's own fault for not standing up in the same way that Kim and Billy do. I think that, I guess, but on the other hand,
it's wrong of them to treat him that way.
Yeah. That said, I think that if they were to give him, if anything, Bulk and Skull, I kind of see it as more, it's them not needing an outlet. Like, they need to get that bullying side of themselves out of their systems. But on the other hand, I think that they should treat him with kindness. In season 2, when they got their memories wiped and they're like, no way, and they stood up. Yeah, they came to the rescue. That shows that Bulk and Skull by season 2 are true heroes.
It shows that bullies, sometimes they can grow up and become decent people.
Yeah. But the only thing is, I find that some of this character development was retconned out with season 3 and a bit of the odd Zeo episode. And so I didn't really like that. I wanted to see where they'd go. I thought the natural character progression, as already said earlier on the stream, was that we should have seen the two of them discover the secret identity of the Rangers and try to help cover for the Rangers. And maybe the joke could be almost on the Rangers themselves, as Bulk and Skull kind of try to cover up for their secret identities, only to bungle it up. And so they're still Bulk and Skull, but they're trying to cover for the Rangers, even when the Rangers don't need it. You could just have so much comedy there. And you could occasionally have them say, okay, sorry, we were trying to help. And, you have the Rangers. Yeah, I know, but can you not? But on the other hand, I think of all the Rangers, maybe Rocky, Aisha, and Tommy would be the most amused by their attempts. And maybe Billy. But what I like is that by the time of the plane, like they're in the plane in the movie, like the two of them are teasing and joking with the Rangers. And you just have, by the end of the movie, the Rangers just laughing as Bulk and Skull claim credit for what the Rangers accomplished. But they have no compulsion to correct them or tell them be quiet. They just see it as, can you believe those guys? And they let them claim the credit. They're like, we don't need the credit. The good deed was done for its own sake, not because anyone wanted credit. And of course, you still have the city going, thank you, Power Rangers. And we might end the stream on Power Rangers, Bulk and Skull. I love that. Man, Bulk and Skull are just like, I just love their arc. We definitely are going to have to do in some of the color podcast videos where we analyze the individual Rangers. We're definitely going to have to analyze every Ranger's relationship with Bulk and Skull. Oh, I can't wait to do that because, like, despite us saying, well, we didn't like it when they ate up too much time in this episode or that episode, honestly, we both love them. Like Power Rangers wouldn't be the same without Bulk and Skull. They put that little joke in it. Oh, I've never made it to the end in that game. Okay, I always screw up in the first few levels because I'm terrible at gaming. So maybe at some point we'll play Mega Battles. That's the only Power Ranger game I've ever been able to play to the end. But those early Power Ranger games were hard. But
oh yeah,
I didn't know they put that little joke in the Sega Genesis game. Yes.
I think Tommy's lucky the two didn't get a job as teachers when he was trying to teach Dino Thunder.
I wish they brought them back in Dino Thunder. In hindsight, yeah, they were what was missing from Dino Thunder. We needed Bulk and Skull and Dino Thunder. Can you imagine them trying to help Tommy out only to mess up and embarrass Tommy a little? And you have Tommy just like, oh my gosh.
It's like, how did these two become the PE teacher?
Well, one of them would probably be PE. The other, I don't know what's. Yeah, I could see Bulk maybe in that role weirdly, and Skull maybe teaching, I don't know, computer science or something. Oh man, that would be great.
It would add certainly some color.
Oh,
And then mentoring the
nice pun. Color Power Rangers.
and then mentoring the one girl.
Oh yeah, Cassidy, I think it is. I wanted a Zeo game so bad. Oh god, yeah. Like, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think season 2 was the greatest Power Ranger season of all times. Only Lost Galaxies and Dino Thunder really kind of measured up close, or even to an extent Lightspeed Rescue. I really like these 3 seasons right behind season 2. Zeo would be somewhere right behind them. My ranking of the seasons gets weird because it's usually as I watch them that I kind of mentally rank them. And well, maybe season 1 I might rank about. Okay, season 1 I'd rank up before even Zeo, but we definitely needed a Zeo game. Like that was my hope with Mega Battles. I was hoping what we'd see is, like Mega Battles initially starts off with a bit of season 1, maybe a bit of season 2, and we move to the power transfer to an extent, although that's a DLC. And I was hoping they'd eventually take the story into Zeo, where you get the Zeo costumes, and then from there into Turbo, and all the way through Lightspeed Rescue or Dino Thunder. And honestly, we desperately do need a Zeo game. Really, really badly. I'm not the biggest Zeo guy. I'm more a Mighty Morphin fan and some of the later seasons. Well, Dino Thunder, Lost Galaxy stuff. But Zeo, we desperately needed a game. I think almost more than any other season to an extent. There's a lot of potential in a Zeo game.
Yeah, and it's a pity we lost out there.
Yeah, I don't think we even got a Turbo game.
No, I don't think Turbo was successful enough.
Okay, but Zeo was.
Yeah, afterwards it took a long time for them to properly make a Power Rangers game.
Mm.
And that was because you had
people lost the game developers kind of lost confidence in the brand.
Exactly, because
what do they know? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Actually, I have a background in some game development.
And Turbo was really where things dropped off. I enjoyed Turbo myself.
Well, yeah. In Space was popular, but I think that Turbo kind of damaged a bit of the brand commercially in regards to like how far the company was willing to go to commission a game development company. And you also have Lost Galaxies, Lightspeed Rescue were, I think, successes. I'm not sure about Time Force. I'm not familiar with anything between Time Force and just before Dino Thunder in terms of commercial success and whatnot. But Dino Thunder was a pretty good success. I'm surprised they didn't make a game about that.
I think it's around that time where they started up with more Power Rangers. I could be mistaken. Don't quote me on that.
I don't know.
But I know that
they definitely needed a Zeo game.
Mm-hmm. They've been starting to include many different...
Hey, you know what? It's been almost, 25 years? Come on. Hasbro, commission it.
It's like, I know there are various games where they bring in various different characters from different seasons.
Yeah, like I think Battle for the Grid.
Battle for the Grid.
I think has a lot of different seasonal stuff. I'm not familiar with Battle for the Grid. I'm not gonna lie. I know some things about it. I'm in the Discord on occasion, but I'm not the best guy to like. I've got a lot of friends who play it. I think even one of my Japanese friends plays it, but I couldn't tell you that. The only thing I know about it is the Shattered Grid story was really well done in there. It was really well done in that game. I saw some of the cinematics and I thought, wow, I love this. But I'm not familiar with the game, like with playing it, because I'm not a Mortal Kombat guy. I'm not very good at that. I'm not a good gamer. I'm not gonna lie. Like I struggled. I struggled with some pretty basic games, but as for uh, as far as a game goes, I'd want Koei Tecmo to take a shot at Power Rangers.
I mean,
Though
you've got all the putties and the different kinds that could be the little minions that you cut down.
Yeah, but who to voice Tommy and Srini? Who to voice those two? That's my thing. Because you have to have them in the game. You have to. But they'd have to hire someone else. Well, it would create a job, but yeah. But anyways, that said, they could bring back a lot of the Ranger actors to do the voice acting. Of course, they'd have to recast Kim because I don't think Amy Jo Johnson's going to want to voice Kim. She doesn't want anything to do with the franchise. Well, she's too big name, probably. And I think she just moved on from it, which, fair enough, more power to her.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter to me. Well, as long as we can get Walter Jones to do Zach and Steve Carness to do Rocky, and well, I know Karen Ashley would come back for Aisha. She's married to her role. And hopefully they pony up for David Yost because, like, I don't blame him for wanting a bit of cash to come back because, well, this is a job. And yet they seem almost reluctant to pay him, according to him. And the only reason I'm taking the actors kind of at their word is because I don't see any reason not to an extent. For the most part, most of the Power Ranger actors don't seem to be like they seem to be pretty frank about their problems with Saban, and it seems like they all have had problems with Saban. So, I'm not wanting to turn this into a Saban bashing. I'm just saying that. Yeah, but hopefully we could also get the Bulk and Skull actors to come back and do Bulk and Skull in such a video game. Though they'd probably be more quest givers types and background characters or something. You couldn't play as them, please no. But that said, I do think Bulk and Skull, they have a place in the Power Ranger mythology. But anyways, I don't think we've got much more to talk about. They're like, you either have to spend all day talking about them, or you only have, in terms of broad strokes, like maybe an hour's worth. But we do have a lot of podcasts we're going to work on that involve Bulk and Skull, so there's going to be even more hours there.
But generally, we've covered all the bases.
Yeah. That said, what's our next stream? I think is it a villain stream? I haven't checked in a while. I just want to quickly check so I can plug it. Because, well, evidently we want people to like and subscribe because that helps the channel grow, and growth is what is the name of the game. So let me just check. Oh, looks like our next stream, I think, is Billy. Oh, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting. I really like Billy. So next week's going to be really fun. So do stay tuned for that. Don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button because that really helps the channel. And once we get to 500 subs, which is our current goal, we get the community tab, at which point we can make daily posts and let you guys know about our progress vis-a-vis the next video or what have you. And we could basically just try, like conversing with you guys and gals a little more there when we make community tabs. And I'm going to try to, we're going to try to make that a bit of an event for that. But anyways, do take care. Wish everyone the very best. And may the power protect you all.